Here are 9 of the world's worst insects for people who are extremely scared of creepy crawlies, from bullet ants to mosquitoes. Beware of number 9, the bullet ant, which is regarded as the world's most painful bug. You never want to get bitten by a bullet ant. The small but ferocious bullet ant is a native of the rainforests of Central and South America. It is also known as the Hormiga 24, which translates to the 24-hour ant and refers to the full day of pain that follows being stung. At only a little over an inch in length, it is incredible to think that their sting can feel like being shot with a bullet. The Schmidt Sting Pain Index, or SPI, was developed by Dr. Justin Schmidt, an entomologist and research director of the Southwest Biological Institute in Tucson, Arizona. It classifies the intensity of the pain experienced. He allowed himself to get stung by a variety of insects, including wasps, bees, and ants, in order to rate each one's sting. Although the sting won't immediately harm your heart or lungs, it will nonetheless hurt like a. Although many indigenous tribes use these ants in their initiation rituals, these ants are widely feared throughout the rainforest by both humans and animals. Young boys who want to be accepted by their tribes as men must endure having their hand placed in a woven glove filled with these ants, as well as having their hand stung repeatedly for at least 10 minutes. If that isn't painful enough, the rituals can sometimes involve more than a dozen repetitions. Despite the fact that the trauma may persist forever, none of them have long-term repercussions. Giant hornets from Japan are item number 8. Japanese giant hornets, a subspecies of the Asian giant hornet known for their terrible attitude and fierce territoriality, are notorious for their painful stings. As if honeybees didn't already have enough problems, the creatures that are quickly turning into a pest have now made nests in France and England. Their venom is known to destroy red blood cells, and those with allergic reactions are especially at risk of death. These monsters are much larger than normal hornets. They are known to hunt and consume up to 50 unfortunate honeybees a day. Every year, the Japanese giant hornets alone murder 30 to 40 individuals in Japan and injure hundreds more. Its venom targets the victim's nerve systems and causes tissue damage. Renal failure might also result from the stings. When animals or people run, the gigantic hornets, which are attracted to alcohol and sweet flavors and aromas, will swarm and attack. Some victims have needed hundreds of stitches and multiple dialysis treatments to survive and are still left with profound scars. Government campaigns to demolish the hornets' nests in Japan and China have been sparked by these insects, and perhaps they have the right idea. These ferocious insects are indeed frightening. Number 7, fleas, which feed on blood and are capable of leaping 150 times their own height, are the unsung heroes of the infamous Black Death that plagued Europe in the Middle Ages. The bubonic plague was spread by fleas carrying the disease on infected rats, and some estimates say it wiped out close to 2/3 of the population of Europe at the time. However, some may argue that it was not the fleas themselves that spread the disease, but rather the infectious bacteria they carried that made it difficult for the creatures to feed and caused them to regurgitate infectious materials onto the host. In most cases, the only real stress is avoiding the extremely itchy, swollen bite marks and treating the infestation quickly because fleas can lay over 50 eggs in a single day. Modern fleas can still transmit diseases like typhus to humans, and sea bites can cause catastrophic allergic reactions in both pets and humans. The 6th one is the tarantula hawk wasp. Along with the bullet ant, this insect is the only other one to score a 4 on the SPI scale. The tarantula hawk is a lone wasp that scouts the area in search of tarantulas. The purpose of the tarantula hawk sting is to convince a predator, like a bird or lizard, to let it go. The pain from the sting is similar to being shocked by a high-voltage electric line in a windstorm, and it only lasts for about 3 The purpose of the tarantula hawk sting is to convince a predator, like a bird or lizard, to let it go. The pain from the sting is similar to being shocked by a high-voltage electric line in a windstorm, and it only lasts for about 3 minutes. If you're screaming in pain, it may seem like it lasts longer, but after a few minutes it is suddenly gone. However, if you happen to be a tarantula, this sting will immobilize you as well as shock you. The wasp will then place a single egg within your body. When the larva hatches, it will start eating the adult tarantula while avoiding its essential organs to preserve the tarantula's life for the rest of us. Wasps and tarantulas rarely sting without being provoked, but geez, nature, you're terrifying. Fifth is the botfly. Last chance to protect the innocence of your dreams, as the human hunting botfly allows its eggs to grow in human skin that burrow deep and eventually develop into larvae that can be felt under the skin. They do this by catching a mosquito as host and then implanting it with the botfly's eggs that when they go to feed on a mammal, and in many cases a human, teem with larvae that can be felt under the skin. They are typically treated with petroleum jelly over the wound, which suffocates the invaders and allows them to be removed with tweezers. Thankfully, this species has the decency to not have two major populations and live in various areas of Central and South America. Only one species of botfly regularly preys on people, but others may do so as well, even though they typically target the intestines, like those that specialize in horses. These animals may be susceptible to the bacterium or other circumstances, and may succumb quickly. Number 4, killer bees, also known as Africanized honeybees, are very well known and feared. Although their sting is just as lethal as an ordinary honeybee, they are extremely aggressive, sending many members of the colony to repeatedly sting any perceived threats. They are so relentless that they will occasionally completely abandon the hive as the entire colony pursues an enemy, leaving the nest completely unprotected. These bees were accidentally released into the wild in 1957 and quickly multiplied throughout the Americas. They have since bred with numerous other bee colonies and are alarmingly more susceptible to bee swarm deaths. They were developed in the 1950s when Brazilian scientists crossed the southern African honeybee with the European honeybee in an effort to create a bee that was more suited to the South American climate. Third, kissing bugs are not nearly as harmless as they seem. Kissing bugs have a terrible propensity to spread the deadly Chagas disease to human populations infected with a parasite that causes the disease. Kissing bugs feed on blood at night while also transmitting the parasites to humans. They get their name from their propensity to bite people close to the blood vessel-rich areas of the eyes or lips, though this usually isn't the kind of bite that people are used to. People are searching for objects slightly larger than the size of a cent, which are primarily found in warm regions like the southern United States. I saw all of these when I used to reside in Florida, but I was unaware that they were disease carriers. They disseminate the Chagas illness, which has two separate stages. The chronic stage, which affects 30% those infected and can result in diseases such as an enlarged heart and irregular heartbeat, and the first, in which typical symptoms like muscular aches, rash, vomiting, and other such symptoms may or may not show. The good news is that it can take this stage close to 20 years to develop. There are support centers where you may submit the bug if you can discover it to assure proper treatment. If you can make it, you'll be laughing since you've outlasted your assailant by at least 20 times, as they typically have a 1-year life cycle. Secondly, locust. The word locust conjures up pictures of hordes of flying insects raising everything in their path until nothing is left. Although they resemble grasshoppers in many respects, their propensity to congregate in huge quantities is what makes them a threat. This plague, however, is all too real. The main damage doesn't directly affect humans, but a huge swarm can descend on a farm and devour everything in sight, including crops, grass, and even clothing, causing mass starvation in the affected communities. These clouds can spread out hundreds of miles and consume millions of pounds of plants. Intriguingly, locusts are a delicacy in some parts of the world, and their bodies can help make up for the lost food they consume. The desert variety is especially known for destroying the meager crops that can be grown and are known to move large dune areas. Farmers all over the world fear their telltale buzzing sound, but many quickly scramble to build large fires as the smoke can weaken a swarm. In fact, it was noted that one specific swarm had traveled from northern Africa to the island of Great Britain. First up, the mosquito, the scourge of fishing and camping vacations alike. This seemingly insignificant irritation is also one of the deadliest animals on the earth, spreading diseases like malaria and the West Nile virus anywhere they reach. A human population, especially in places with a lack of access to medical care. Although female mosquitoes primarily feed on plant nectar, they can take up to 3 times their own weight in blood to feed their eggs. Despite the fact that most human bodies can easily restore this blood, the diseases that mosquitoes can spread are numerous and devastating. They can detect human targets by sensing the carbon dioxide we exhale. They can even sense our body heat. They are drawn to calm water, such as flooded sinks or buckets, and deposit their eggs there. Know just where to draw blood. At about 210 million years old as a species, they have been consuming DNA. In fact, Alexander the Great was thought to have passed away from malaria, which is infamously spread by mosquitoes and kills more than 1 million people a year. Dragonflies turn out to be our best friends because they can kill hundreds of mosquitoes in a single hunt, and some regions even release them into the wild to help reduce mosquito populations. Thank you for watching. Which insect do you dread the most? Subscribe now, and I'll see you later.